They gon' need a village cause they messin' with the realest. Woo! I can let them blur the vision. Started from the bottom, but I promise I'ma break through. I ain't plan on missing. This is how I'm living every day. I'm trying to make moves. Focus on
Hello and welcome to The Climb.
Ain't no
Aaron
competition
Hosack,
anyway
this is
that they
Bryce
gon' break
Atagi.
you.
We want to welcome you guys today, man. We have a truly very, very good show, an exciting show. Special guest today. Going to learn a lot about his journey and over the past few years with Southwind. So today I'd like to start it off by saying, our guest started their climb in Roland Park, Kansas. He has two older brothers and one younger sister. He comes from a scholastic family. Mom was a grade school teacher who became a principal, and his dad was a PE teacher and the head basketball coach at Bishop Miege High School for 43 years. Woo. An absolute legend. Our guest was the director of admissions at Bishop Miege and took over the head coaching job for his dad after he retired. Our guest led the Stags to a state championship in his first season. After that, life led him to his first job interview at 39 years old, where he ended up accepting the position to run Dream Lawn, one of our best performing businesses in Southwind. He's married to an amazing woman, his wife Maddie, and they have a dog together named Mulligan. Man, please welcome, I think they call him White Lightning back in the day.
I think so.
Or something like that.
Faster than the Jew, they say.
Please welcome Jeff English to The Climb, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, man.
Heck yeah, man.
Good
Thank
to
you
have
for
you.
joining us, Jeff. Yeah, so just starting off, man, we always like to kind of start off just asking you, what's your background, what's your upbringing? Tell us kind of the story of Jeff English, man, growing up.
Yeah, you guys talked a little bit about it. Two older brothers that were kind of the people I looked up to my whole entire life. Younger sister that really liked to get me in trouble growing up. But she's a big part of my life as well, and their kids. I have 9 nieces and nephews, so we spend a lot of family time around holidays and everything together. My parents were fantastic parents growing up. They were hardworking. I said it in my spotlight, like we never had everything, but we always had enough. They always made sure that we had exactly what we needed, and they also taught us, what it was like to work hard and to be able to earn that. So grew up in an awesome community. My dad, you guys mentioned, was a part of Bishop Miege High School, and we lived about 2 blocks away from Miege. Went to grade school at St. Agnes, which is pretty much on their property. Friends lived in the area, rode bikes every single day. It was like the American dream, So really good part of town to grow up in, and awesome family life. Aunts, uncles, cousins were all really, really close. We traveled to Colorado for many years together, and about 25 of us staying in a house that only sleeps about 10. So we got to know each other really well, and no complaints about growing up where I was.
Yeah, about your house, right? So I imagine with Bishop Miege being so engraved in your family, what was your rooms like, man? Did you have like red and blue walls? Was there stagnation all over, decals? Like, talk us through that a little bit.
Well, I actually felt like growing up, I spent more time in the actual gym at Miege than I did in my own room. But growing up, I with my mom being a teacher, we had access to a lamination machine. And so what we did is I would cut out newspaper articles. I'm a big KU Jayhawks fan. I'm a big Chiefs fan. We would cut out newspaper articles, and when we went to work with my mom, we would laminate all of them, and I would hang them up all over the room as almost like wallpaper, so that it got a little bit messy. It was a good place to be.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Man, to have a laminator machine at that age had to be a very cool thing.
Oh man, I was high rolling.
I still enjoy a good laminator.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's been a unique upbringing, Jeff. Like, mom being a principal, dad being 43 years, 23 state championships, I believe. Like
24. He would correct you. It's 24. He won a baseball state championship
Okay.
as well.
fair enough. Well, I appreciate that. So, yeah, just growing up in that house, man. Like, how did that shape you, and how did that mold you into how you carry yourself these days? Because without, like, Jeff, you're consistent. You're always on top of things, man. Like, you have some really, really good characteristics and traits. So I'm just wondering, growing up, how did that shape you into the man you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to how our parents raised us, and to appreciate the small things, and to treat others like you want to be treated. And that's something that I've always lived by. And, no matter how much success and how much notoriety that my dad received, he always was humble. He always reflected that back on his players, on his coaches, on the parents that supported him. And the same with my mom. She climbed from being an English teacher all the way up to being a principal, and she never wanted the praise. She always kind of deflected that back on her people, and I take pride in that. Like some of the things that we're doing in Dreamlawn, I'm a small part in the big success that we're going to have, and it all starts with the frontline people and the management that I work with, and I hope that I'm a piece of their success, and that's where I find a lot of fulfillment is seeing people like that grow and become maybe something that they didn't even know that they could be.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. And, just thinking about, you growing up, and obviously you're around sports, so this might be a crazy question because I probably know the answer already. But imagine yourself third grade, second grade, when they used to have us do those little projects, and they're like, what do you want to be when you're older? So take yourself back a couple years or 20 years or whatever and put yourself in that seat. What did young Jeff English want to be when he grew up?
Well, I mean, I wanted to play basketball at KU. Yeah. It was my number one thing. I had, there's a painting that it's called J Dreaming. It's a painting that I had in my room growing up, and it was kind of little kids sitting out, looking out, and in the clouds were Jayhawks and different like famous KU basketball players, and that was always something that that I always strive to be. Obviously, look at me, like I'm not a KU basketball player, but mentally I was better than all those guys. So. But yeah, that was something I always wanted to be, and then I always wanted to follow my dad's footsteps and be a coach and be in education. I got so much gratification from seeing the growth of those kids and being a part of their success and their happiness and their growth just in that stage in their life was so fulfilling to me, and that was kind of the direction I always thought I would be, and the direction that I always dreamed about going.
Yeah, that's incredible, man.
When did pickleball replace basketball for you?
Well, it's like I tell LeDrew all the time, I'm just a natural athlete. Just like I could beat him in a 40-yard dash. Like I've always been really competitive, and growing up with two older brothers, like I was always sitting on the sidelines. Anytime they needed a sub, I would jump in. So I kind of keep that as I've kind of moved into life. And anytime I can be competitive, anytime I can get out there and be a part of something, and whether it's a individual sport or a team sport, like I always jump at that.
How did life bring you to Dreamlawn?
Yeah.
Or how did life bring you into the walls for an interview? And maybe tell me about the interview process before Dreamlawn existed.
As I was at my age, and I was 18 years an assistant coach under my dad, which was probably the most amazing 18 years of my life, just having that interaction and being able to spend that time with my dad. I always wanted to be the head girls coach there, and we were fortunate to have so much success during his whole entire 43 years, but during those 18 years I was there, we had a tremendous amount of success, and taking over that position when he retired was something that I'll always be probably the most proud of. And reaching that pinnacle in year one is, says a lot about the players that I coached and the coaches that were with me. But it also gave me this feeling of, it was almost like the exact same feeling I had when I was an assistant coach. And so, in a previous to that year, like there were years leading into that where I just felt like there was something more out there. Like I had always kind of been positioned to be where I was at my age as a coach, all that stuff. I like a challenge. I always enjoy kind of being uncomfortable and trying something new. And it just got to a point where I was getting engaged, and I started thinking about my future family and my wife and where I wanted to be. And, education doesn't pay anything. So not that it's all about the money, but, when you look forward to raising kids these days, like that helps. It was just kind of reached out to a family friend. He's got a lot of connections in the area, and he said, hey, there's a company that I know really well that does junk and move and got an HVAC company, and he said I can hook you up with somebody over there to speak to them. And I said, what the hell? Like you said, I've never been a part of a job interview in my entire life. I mean, when my dad retired, I just kind of walked into it. They pretty much just said it's your gig. So it was quite interesting walking in for my first job interview at 39. And now as I look back, I wasn't just sitting in with a recruiter, like I was sitting in with the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, so that was incredible.
Very good. And, knowing Josh, right, you walk in, he's like, so tell me a little bit about you. You're like, I don't know anything about business. He's like, you're the perfect fit for this.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I thought he was absolutely crazy for saying that.
Yeah. So most of your accolades, most of your credibility comes from sports background, so obviously walking in to business where you didn't really have any experience in it, I know how hard that can be. I left coaching to come here as well. I didn't have as many years as you under my belt, but I didn't go to school for business either. What was that moment here where you said, I can do this shit?
Oh, man. It took a little bit of time. I always knew that I could connect with people. I pride myself on creating relationships and building bonds and pushing people forward and doing all that stuff. The business part was tough. And it was something that was out of my comfort zone completely. I think it was a couple months into acquiring Heritage to Dream Lawn where those all hands meetings started becoming a little bit more comfortable, and people started seeing me not as that new guy that's running the company, but working together as a team. And I think that's where we really started to click and things started to move in the right direction.
Jeff, so I know we've had conversation before. First of all, I appreciate your journey and the hard, you started as employee number one, right? And it was you and Austin. There were Dream Lawn back then.
Yep.
And just seeing you inherit another team, obviously joining forces with Heritage and bringing all those teammates on. So, I was kind of maybe like 1 or 2 years ahead of all that with MVP, kind of going through similar stuff. And there were constantly times where, I was frustrated. I was dealing with a challenge or an obstacle that I hadn't seen in when I hit or got junk or previously. And, a lot of times I would resort to the, hey, it's just different over here. And kind of give it in a little bit, right? And using that as an excuse. And I don't know if I was waiting for somebody to kind of feel sorry for me or what, but it was, the frustrations that come with those first few years. And I know you had your fair share. When was the moment where you were like, all right, Bryce just said, hey, when was the moment where you were like, I got this? But when was the moment where you were like, and this is different, but we can make this something special, right? This isn't junk, it's not move, it's not MVP. We're in our lane and we're gonna make this special. We're gonna make lawn special.
Yeah, I think, I was always pretty confident that it was gonna be special. And a lot of that started when I first walked in the door, the first couple weeks, like getting to know everybody in the building, getting to understand Josh and Tyler and what their vision was for not just Dream Lawn, but for the whole organization. You know, you can tell when you're in a special place pretty much right away. And a lot of people try to portray that and try to show you immediately off the bat that this is a great place. But it continued to last. And like almost immediately I was like, man, this is going to be something really exciting. You know, I used to own a lawn care company growing up. My dad used to own it, and then I kind of took it over for him. So it was right in my wheelhouse. Like, I love grass, not nearly as much as the lawn father does, Jason Clarkson, but I enjoy the before and after. I love kind of seeing that progression. But I don't know if I have like pinpointed an exact time where I feel like it just kind of clicked. You know, I truly think that this past winter was a time that, you know, in lawn industry, you have a lot of dead time. And it was an awesome opportunity for us to connect with each other during that time. Because prior to that, I kind of felt like I was just running around with my head cut off. I didn't really know what the hell I was doing all the time, and I kind of was just aimlessly running a business. And so I think in the winter it was one of those times where we had a lot of connection with irrigation and lawns and sales all together to really build that foundation as a culture, to put our processes in play, to really take a step back and take a breath and see exactly where we needed to go with a lot of those processes. And I think that was a pivotal time to kind of not only create the culture that I think we've built, which is really, really strong in my opinion, but also to kind of see that roadmap of where we wanted to go with it.
That's cool. Yeah. I would agree with you. I think you guys have a very, very strong culture. Jason, Cody, two entrepreneurship class students, absolutely represent Dream Lawn so well, represent themselves very well. But it's been cool over the winter. You know, wintertime, all right, when people are probably scared in the lawn business because there's not much work out there, like you guys took that and became stronger as a team. And I'd argue, man, you guys got probably one of the strongest teams in Southwind right now. So props to you, man.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And a lot of that goes back to Jason and Alex and Sarah and Lindsay who run their departments and push their people and you know, are in it with them every single day. You know, they lead their team so well that you know, I just add a little bit of something to it, but you know, that's a big part of our success are those four.
How many total teammates in Dream Lawn?
I think we're at just under 30, 28, 29, something like that.
29 teammates, and you have 4 in the entrepreneurship program, right? So Matt, Stephanie, Cody, Jason, like that's pretty incredible. Absolutely. You know, and you talk about our organization has 1,400 people. And you know, one of the sayings out there is you are where you are because someone led you there. And not everybody in life has had direct access to somebody that has been able to make such a positive impact on the world like you have had that opportunity to have the front row seat to see your dad growing up, having the success. I mean, coaching for 43 years, winning 24 state championships. You know, walk us through, like, what was that like growing up around someone that was not only a winner on the court, but a winner in life?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it was some of the best times in my life was being in the gym with my dad, and not just to spend the time with him, but to understand what made him click. You know, interviews back when, you know, they used to promote high school sports in the local newspaper, and they used to have reporters at every game. And you know, when I was younger, you know, I would be the one that was standing right next to him as that guy had his little recorder out, and I learned so much poise and so much integrity and so much just humility on how to kind of spread and deflect praise onto the people that, do the work. And, obviously he had an ego, and it came across every once in a while, but for the most part, like, they would always ask, who do you want to interview after the game? He would rarely ever pick the star of the game. He would pick the girl that got the most loose balls. He would pick a girl that came in and gave some huge minutes in an opportunity where there was some foul trouble, something like that. He taught me, I am the person I am today because of him.
Yeah, and I can tell that, man. And I think that's why, I know that's why you've had success here, is because although you don't have a background in business, you have grown up around someone that has had success in life and has taught you the right things. And I remember, like, vividly, your first couple of weeks here, you always used to tell me, like, you'd come into my office, you'd sit down, you'd be like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, man, but, like, talk me through this. I just want to do things the right way. And that kind of goes back to you talking through, like, how he raised you to have integrity. And, I think the reason you've had success is because you've learned how to utilize the strengths of your team, right? We took over, which was probably the hardest thing, is you talk about you started this business with a folding chair or a folding table and one of these chairs as your desk, you and Austin. And then we brought in Heritage, who had amazing teammates that have been doing this for their whole damn lives. And I remember that first meeting when we sat in there, and I remember at the end, I'm like, I don't know what the hell y'all talking about, but I'm in, but just for you being able to, like, take advantage of letting people do what they're really good at, and I believe that's why you've had success, man. So hats off to you. I'll tell you this, man, I know your dad would be proud of you and what you've built here and what you and your team are building, man. So it's amazing what you're doing, man.
Yeah, and I think that's one of my biggest goals with kind of as my journey continues here is, I'm the type of guy that I don't want to change who I am. I'm the type of guy that takes pride in, like I said earlier, treating people the right way, pushing people to achieve things that they didn't even know that they can do. But, we talk about how Heritage came in and how that difficult it was for me. But at the same time, I was really fortunate to inherit a group of people that had the similar type of culture that we have here at Southwind. Yep. You don't know what you're getting into when you acquire a company. And, man, I mean, we kept almost every single person from that company coming over here. And that's a credit to them. That's a credit to the passion that they have doing the job that they do. I mean, it's incredible to see how passionate the people are on the lawns, whether it's on the irrigation side, whether it's in the sales room or on the lawn side. Like, they love helping people out, and they love making lawns look good. And that was a huge bonus for me to be able to walk in and have a culture like that. And we just had to kind of mold it into where we wanted it to continue to go. And we take it back to entrepreneurship. You guys talked about it. We have 4 people in entrepreneurship, and we have many others that are in the leadership classes. And they want the opportunities. They want to be a part of something bigger and better. That's my job to help everybody get to where they want to be and achieve the things that they want to do. But it also helps a ton that they have that mindset that they want to push themselves to be better as well. I mean, that expedites the process a hell of a lot more.
100%.
So you looking back over the last, what's it been, 5-6 years?
No.
God, 2-3 years. It seems like 5 or 6. What?
Yeah. Hadn't even been 2 yet.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Feels like 20.
So my age. I know. So okay. Jeff, you 2-3 years ago, like, building up the courage to say, hey, I want to get out of what I've been doing for a long time. Like, not knowing anything about business at the time. Like, I'm sure there's some similarities now with your previous life and working at Dreamlawn now than coaching basketball and teaching. But what advice would you give to somebody right now that's maybe thinking about, do I make the jump? Doesn't have the courage. Maybe they're getting up there in age and it scares the crap out of them. But from where you're at now, what would you tell yourself 2 years ago?
You should have done it faster. Like, should have done it previous to when you did it. But at the same time, I wouldn't trade the time I had at Miege and with my dad and the coaching profession. Like, I wouldn't trade that time for anything.
And what similarities does running Dreamlawn and coaching that basketball team have?
Oh my, it's all about the people. Like, you can write up all the X's and O's, and if your people don't trust you and your people don't want to follow where you want them to go, they're not going to do what you want them to do. And the same thing goes for any company you run, not just Dreamlawn. It's like, if you don't have the trust of your people and you don't have that connection with your people, you're only as good as your people. And by directing them and connecting with them and having that genuine, relationship with them, this place wouldn't be going as well as it is and where we want it to go. But when we talk about like making that jump, I had talked about making that jump for 4 or 5 years, and getting to that edge and looking off a cliff and being so comfortable. And I mean, I was surrounded by people that taught me, that were my counselor in high school, that were my dad's best friends, for the past 25, 30 years. Like, I was in maybe the most comfortable spot I could have possibly have been in. And it was, it actually, I credit my wife to push me to think outside the box. I had never, she works for Anheuser-Busch, and so she kind of knows that company side of things, the business side of it, and being with her prior to us getting married, like understanding what that looks like that really started making me think, okay, like that is cool. Like, I want to be a part of something like that, and I want to lead people and push myself. And I think it took my wife, not that that's where she wanted me to be, but for her to show me what that looks like was a big part of how I felt comfortable finally to kind of go have an interview with a guy that supposedly owns a junk business. So
yeah. When did you believe that anything was possible?
It took a little bit of time. The first couple meetings with LeDrew, I kind of walked out and was like, well, this guy's drinking the Kool-Aid, man, But, like I said, the more you spent time around here and the more I was, at that time I didn't have anybody. Yeah. So I was popping my head into meetings. I was walking around the building, introducing myself, talking to Josh, talking to Tyler, spending a lot of time with LeDrew, leaders around the business. And like, the more you involve yourself into, what Southwind is all about, you really start understanding that anything is possible. And we talk a whole lot about, our limitations are because of us. We are the limitations, and if we don't think there are limitations, then there aren't limitations. And so, obviously, I bet if we took a poll of all the heritage people, they probably the first couple weeks were like, oh, man, what are these people talking about, But I think that they've come full circle, and they understand the connection, and they understand the family atmosphere and the care that's put into every single person. And I think that they truly see that now, and their answer would probably be the same as mine. It probably took them several weeks and to kind of see it in action before they really, really felt it.
I think that proves a point to, you'll never know if anything's possible if you don't take a leap of faith, right?
Yep.
You talked about how your wife kind of helped you get outside your comfort zone. You were in the most comfortable position in your life, surrounded by people that have known your family your whole life, and you had the easy road, to be whatever you wanted. And, for her to challenge you, but also like give you the courage to get outside the box, ultimately opens up limitless possibilities, right?
Yeah.
And which has led you to, a place to where maybe you never thought you would be, which I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah, and I think it shows that her and mine relationship is so strong because it just like in business, you don't want to surround yourself with people that just say yes. Yeah. And sometimes she says no too often and always goes against the grain, but it always makes me think, and it always pushes me to look at it from a different direction and to understand that that's how you have to do it, to really connect with your people, because you're dealing with people from all different backgrounds and all different understandings of the business. And, I know that I don't know everything. I admit that almost daily. And so to be able to, communicate that to people of, hey, reach out for help. Like, I don't know everything. And so I surround myself with people that do know a lot more than me. Like when I want to diagnose a lawn, there's no way in hell I'm going to do it. I'm going straight to Jason, and the same goes with Sarah. The same goes with Alex. The same goes with Lindsay. And hell, our operations people, like, they know it better than me. I sit in there every once in a while, but when it comes to making decisions, like, I'm going to take their opinion on that.
Yeah, so you become a head coach. Who becomes your assistant? Your dad.
Yeah.
Who has 24 state titles,
Yeah.
all right? You take over Dream Lawn, you got the lawn father next to you. You know what I mean? You got Stephanie, you got Matt, you got all these amazing people, and that just comes to prove that you do have to surround yourself with people that know more than you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And I got a question I'm going to ask you, Jeff, and I know you're probably not going to want to answer it, and you can try to pass it to somebody else, but why do people bet on you?
Well, I mean, just like LeDrew's going to see in the 40-yard dash, I always win.
Fair enough.
No. I think that I think I connect with people well. I think I build relationships well. I think people cheer for me because, I'm a genuine guy. I'm a genuine person. I take pride in that. I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. I'm not afraid to admit when I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm not afraid to be vulnerable and, talk about tough times in my life and how I've gotten out of it. I think, that I say this all the time. I'm kind of like a robot at times, but it comes right back to just kind of connecting with the people around you. And I think the more you connect and you have that genuine relationship, like, people levitate to you. They want you to be successful.
That's it, for sure. And for those that are watching this episode, all right, that have grasped something that you've said on this episode, man, and they're saying, you know what, he can do it, I can do it. What advice do you have for our listeners right now that are out there on their climb? Like, what advice do you have for them to persevere, to get through the hard times? Why is it worth it at the end of the day?
Man, one thing I would say is, don't give up. Yeah, the easiest thing in the world to do is to give up. Like, oh, well, this happened and I'm done. I'm going to try something else. That crept in my mind probably 175,000 times while I've been doing Dream Lawn so far. And I think that, the challenge, the struggles, the road bumps, that makes you a better person, a stronger person, and it'll make you enjoy the success that you have in your future. The fact that you just keep going and you struggle through it, but you achieve things that made you uncomfortable and made you question whether you were doing it right or wrong. Like, that builds you to be the person that people will want to be your leader. So I think that's one of the biggest things.
Cool. Well, Jeff, man, we appreciate it. You got a very, very cool story. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you giving advice to everybody listening today. And yeah, I will take White Lightning over LeDrew in the 40-yard dash when that's happening. When is that happening?
He says that he's ready anytime, but he hasn't named a place or a time yet. So I'm waiting to hear back from him. His schedule's a hell of a lot busier than mine. I can get on. I still have the keys to the building, so I can get on there anytime we need.
Hey, Jeff, appreciate you, man. Thank
Yeah.
you very, very much.
Thanks,
Hey, we'll
guys.
see you guys. This is The Climb.
I can let him blur the vision. Started from the bottom, but I promise I'ma break through. I ain't been on missing. This is how I'm living every day. I'm trying to make moves, focus on the mission. Ain't no competition anyway that they gon' break you. They gon' need a village. They gon' need a village, cause they messing with the realest. Woo!